Hello and welcome to September's Man v Fat webinar. I'm Emma and every month I'm here live on YouTube with someone from the world of weight loss, health or well-being. This month I'm talking to Tom Champman, who founded the Lions Barber Collective. It's a collection of barbers from around the world who are dedicated to opening up discussion around men's mental health, encouraging men to talk while they get their haircut. Death by suicide is currently the single biggest cause of death in men, and it's so important to look after your mental health, but it is difficult, and there is still so much more to be done to raise awareness of suicide prevention. With that in mind, the Lions encourage men to talk to their barbers. Seeking help from your GP can be difficult, but having a chat with your barber is a great way to open up and talk through your problems. And here at Man v Fat, I've seen a lot that being overweight and poor mental health are often linked, so your well-being is something you should absolutely make a priority. So hello, Tom.
Hello.
Great to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you for making me here.
So what inspired you to set up the Lions Barber Collective?
Originally, it was a passing comment on a Facebook group, actually, about getting the top barbers of the UK together to create a lookbook, so a collection of men's haircut images, each of them donating one image of their work to then sell and get sponsorships to raise money for charity. So originally, it wasn't for the original idea wasn't for suicide prevention or mental health. It was just an idea to try and raise some money for charity and get some awareness out there for something. And I asked the guys in the group, what should we do it for? Because I wanted something a little bit more original, something that I felt needed the awareness. Lots of people were putting in very valid ideas like cancer and things like this, but I wanted something that was perhaps a little less known. And one of the guys mentioned suicide prevention. And that hit me quite hard because I'd lost a friend to suicide 12 months before, and I didn't even consider that as a charity. I hadn't thought when we were thinking all these charities that was even something we could raise money and awareness for, and I'd been affected by it. So that made me think, if I've been affected by it and I wasn't aware of these charities and organisations and all the different help that's out there for people who are suffering themselves or have suffered a loss, then how many people out there right now don't know what's available to them? So that's what started it, and that's why we went with suicide prevention. And then from that point, I became very, very passionate about it because I lost a friend and didn't realise that he was even suffering.
Yeah.
Guys don't talk to one another.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I lost a friend when I was 16 in school, and no one knew how much he was suffering, and it's just crazy. So it was such a good idea to get men talking.
Yeah, very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. From that point, when I realised that suicide prevention was the thing that I needed to work towards because of my friend losing my friend, and then I realised that I've been in the industry for 16 years, and in that time, hairdressers and stylists and barbers have always said and joked about the fact that they are also counsellors and therapists and psychologists as well as hairdressers, because people sit in the chair and open up to you. And that made me think, actually, yeah, they do. And instead of making a joke out of it, perhaps it's something we can act on and take advantage of that trust and that connection with our clients to be able to help the one in our chair, the one who, they're the most important people in our lives. As a barber, if it wasn't for the people sat in the chair, the industry wouldn't exist. We wouldn't be able to pay our bills, we wouldn't have a job, we wouldn't have an amazing industry that I'm lucky to be part of. So it's really important that we do look after those people in our chair. And more often than not, they become very good friends of ours. I've had people that I've been cutting hair 16 years, and I've known them for 16 years. I've seen them meet their partners and have kids, and I've known all the ins and outs all the way along those 16 years. So I think it's nice that we can perhaps provide a service to a non-judgmental, non-clinical service to our clients.
Yeah, and it's quite easy to talk to somebody that's cutting your hair, I find.
Yeah, there's hairdressers, along with other things like tattooists and masseuses, they have a license to touch.
Yeah.
Less and less human connection with more and more of this. Us talking like this. The world's a smaller place, and we end up talking like this more and more and more through our phones. So when we get that bit of human connection, it seems to be easy. There's a level of trust there, and people seem to open up very easily.
So you run training programs for barbers as well with the Samaritans. Have you had a good response to that?
Yeah, I mean, we've done a couple of things so far with Assist, which is suicide intervention and prevention training. It's very full-on training, very heavy, but also it's an excellent form of training to be able to cope with keeping people safe. If you think that somebody is suicidal, then being able to manage that situation, which is a pretty awkward situation to be in, and something that a lot of people are scared of. So that's why we don't ask people direct questions. We try and go around it to sort of, oh yeah, you'll be fine, or try and go around that, asking that direct question of, do you think you are suicidal, or would you like to kill yourself? Because we're scared of the answer a lot of the time. So that's a very good form of training. We did one with mental health first aid with Devon Recovery when I lived in Devon, and we got barbers onto that, which was all funded by Recovery Devon. So that was really good response. And that actually gave me the idea of being able to create Barber Talk, which is something that is more bespoke to barbers and the hair industry. So it's kind of been, it's kind of like a suicide prevention, mental health first aid. It's definitely, I had some influence from that, and that's been my sort of inspiration for it. But we wanted to make it more bespoke, more interesting to the hair industry. So that's why we created Barber Talk. Originally, it was going to be a 1 day, because all the other ones seem to be 2 days, and that was the problem with a lot of barbers getting 2 days off work. People are self-employed, so taking 2 days out of work and missing clients was hard for a lot of people. So we decided to make it 1 day, and traditional facilitation style training program with one facilitator and then a class of 12. And we found that it became difficult getting people to take time off work, or people to travel. There's only, it's only me and perhaps one of the other trustees, and you got people sign on to it, and someone's in Scotland and someone's in Wales and someone's in London, and you've got to try and find a central place for them to get to and travel and stay overnight, or get trains and things like that. So actually we had a little bit of a breakthrough probably about 3 or 4 months ago, traveling back from doing a show, being at an event with a car full of trustees, and one of the guys works for the NHS, and he said, why don't we make it a modular online training program, because that's what we do with the NHS. Which I can't really believe I didn't think of it before, but actually that enables us to meet people wherever they are in the world, because we've had interest from all over the globe. And once it's finally built and developed, then someone could be doing it in Liverpool or London or Brazil, or we've got people in Hawaii that have been interested in it. It's a global problem. So by doing it as an online modular, then anybody can do it anywhere in the world at any time, in their own time. They don't have to take time off of work, or they don't have to travel. It doesn't cost them anything extra. So that's what we're in the process of doing at the moment. We've actually got somebody on board who works with Hewlett Packard, who's helping us make sure the platform is right and secure, and all these things that you don't really, well, I'd never thought about, but now having to make sure all these things are correct. This takes a lot longer than perhaps expected, but we're getting there and trying to make it so that it's accessible to as many people as possible. So yeah, that's our main goal, for get that ready for next year. But we actually have Barber Talk Lite, which is available at the moment, and anyone can do that. It's an online awareness questionnaire, 15 questions, and then when you complete it, you get a certificate, window sticker, and you get a place on the Lions map, which is on our website. So that means that barber has completed it and is letting people know that that shop is a safe place for men to open up and offload. They're not trained. It's non-clinical. It's non-judgmental. It's kind of like a befriending service. We're just there for you, and if you go and sit in one of those barber chairs, then they know that they're in a safe environment. So if you want to go to a barber, a Lions Barber Collective barber, you can have a look on our website, look at the Barber Talk tab, and it will come down with a Google map to show you all the barber shops that are a safe environment.
That's such a good idea. And I've already said that, but it really is. So how do you like, do all the people that come to you to get their haircut, are they all there to talk? Or
no.
Like, I mean, you're a barber anyway, so this isn't just what you do, I know. But is there like a way that you can sort of decide whether somebody needs to talk?
Yeah, and the thing is, people have said that to me a couple of times now. Oh, so everyone that sits in your chair is suicidal and they want to tell you all their problems. And that's not necessarily the case. There's lots of different levels. Some people will come in and they will sit in my chair and they want to talk about the weekend or whatever they've watched on television, or it's just a normal, football or something like this. Other people are having a really bad day and they want to talk to you about work or their partner or their kids or something that's really upsetting them, and that can be a good letting off steam. Is preventative for mental health issues. Having that ability to just go in and vent your problems and issues will actually make you seem a little bit lighter, as it were, because you've actually offloaded it. So, we act as a preventative sometimes. People come in and just venting and telling you all these things, and they know that it's not going to go any further. And a lot of the time, people sit there and they'll tell you their problems, and they're not looking for solutions or advice. They're just venting them. And most often, when you have everything out of here and they actually verbally say it, it doesn't seem half as bad. A lot of the time, people actually provide it themselves, because people are so quick to jump in and give you advice. But actually, if you just listen to people and let them talk without judging them or offering them advice or trying to jump in, let them talk, they actually end up providing their own solutions themselves, because we have got it outside of our head where it's going around and around and getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Actually, getting it out does that. So sometimes it's just a little bit of that. Sometimes it's, sometimes people are suicidal. I've had people sit down in my chair and tell me they want to kill themselves. And I've asked them, yes, I want to kill myself. I'm suicidal.
What do you do at that point if somebody says that to you?
Everybody's different. I think the idea is to try and create a plan to keep them safe. So ask them, so I say, I asked you, are you suicidal? And you said yes. I would ask them, have they got a plan? How are you going to do it? Do you know what you're going to do? And then obviously I would help them, stop that plan, basically. Try and find, if they said that there was tablets at home that they were going to overdose on, or they had rope, or they had whatever it was, you could try and stop that plan in the process of talking to them and get them to agree with it as well. It's not just a case of, no, you shouldn't do that. It's a case of letting them know how much perhaps they love, putting positive spin on things, and letting them know that you care as well. Letting people know, asking them if they're suicidal, and people saying yes isn't necessarily going to mean that they're going to kill themselves. If anything, it gives them that relief that if it is normal to talk about it, because it's such a taboo subject. So once they actually start talking about it, like we said before, with anyone having problems inside their head, it gets worse and worse. If you're thinking about killing yourself and you're not telling anybody, it's probably getting worse and worse in your own head. So once you're able to verbalize that and talk with somebody, it can take a lot of pressure off. Also, being a barber, a lot of the time you know their family, or friends, and you can actually say to them, look, what about if we call your brother or your sons or whoever, and get them to come and meet you from the shop, and perhaps explain to them, have you spoke to them? Do you have a support network? Try and help them find that. We have, where I was based in Torquay with a barbershop, we actually had a walk once a month, a Lions walk, where we could just all meet up and just go for a walk along the seafront, and just people who have suffered, people who are suffering, people who have lost people. It's a completely non-judgmental environment. So a lot of the time I would say to the person in the chair who said they want to take their life, would you like to come and meet us for a walk and meet other people? Because then they've got a support group, they're not by themselves. They see it's not just them. It can be a very insular and isolated moment for them. Also, we have Lions Den drop-in support groups once a month, and we have 5 barbershops that are doing that right now. And the idea is that we have a support worker who volunteers now 1 day a month to sit in the barbershop. So it's non-judgmental and it's non-clinical. They're not going to get diagnosed. They're not going to get anything like that. But it is a mental health expert, whether a social worker or something like that, who has the ability and knowledge to help them out without any records being kept. They can just turn up and talk to somebody in a normal environment. You know, people go into barbershops all the time. It's not a support group in an old church hall. It's depressing as hell. And, you know, when you're depressed, the last place you want to go is there. So it's a normal place. It doesn't make you feel like, you know, you're going to the support group. You can just pop in and talk to them. So that's something we're looking to get more barbers involved with. But also the idea of the Lions is to be able to recognize the signs, being able to talk to them, ask them direct questions, being able to listen without judgment and with empathy, and then finally signposting. So if anything, a lot of people don't know the resources that are there. A quick Google search in your area, you can find things, or hubofhope.co.uk gives you a list of resources in your area. Things like Samaritans, Mind, Calm, all these charities have contact lines which you can give them a call if you're in distress. And also, you know, things like GP, as mad as that seems, but you know, a lot of people have never thought about going to their GP for those kind of mental health issues. It's still seen as a physical health thing.
Yeah.
So there's lots and lots of things you can do when it comes to someone telling you that they're suicidal in the chair. A lot of the time with a barber, you know your person in the chair well anyway, so you kind of know, you build that relationship, so you should kind of know where you're going with that and what kind of, you know, they've got family or they've got a support group, or let them know that you're there for them. And another thing you can do to keep them safe is create a plan for them to, you know, simple as rebook them for another haircut before they go. That we're going to, you know, come and see me in 2 weeks, I'll book you in. Because a lot of the time people, when they take their life, they feel like they've checked every box when they do it. They've got all their orders, they've got everything in place. Their family they think the family's going to be looked over, all the bills are taken care of. This is done. This is done. This is done. Right now, I can take my life. So having things in their diary helps also. So rebooking them, making plans to see them. If they're a good friend as well as their client, you can meet them for coffee or something the next day, or give them things to aim for also.
Yeah. We had a question from Andrew, who lost a friend to suicide recently, and he feels like he needs a clear point of action about what you can do to support your friends if you're worried about them, because obviously you get to have that time one-on-one with someone in your chair, but like if it's your friend, you might not see them for a while. How can you like deal with that, do you think?
Yeah, firstly, I'm really sorry to hear that, Andrew. I know it's a horrible situation to be in. It's very hard. It's very hard to help all the people all the time. I know that, and all the work that we're doing, and everybody knows publicly, the first thing you can do is let everybody know that it's okay to talk to you. It's a safe place. So everybody knows that it's safe to talk to me, and I'm not going to judge them. I'm there to listen to them, no matter what. So since that's happened, that's been very public. I've had more people talk to me than in the last couple of years than in the previous 30 plus. So I think letting people know that you're there for them. And it's difficult because you know, we all have our own lives, we all have our own things, and you can offer your help to as many people as possible, but people have got to want to take it as well. It is a difficult thing, and you should never put the pressure on yourself if you do lose somebody, because you know, it's their decision as well. And Samaritans firmly believe that if your life is yours, and if you decide to take your own life, then they will sit there with you on the phone whilst you pass, which is a pretty heavy thing to do. But I totally get that side of things. At the same time, I do believe that suicide is preventable, and you can save a life at the same time. So I'm not saying there's no hope. I'm just saying you need to be able to let people know those opportunities are there to open up and offload. Tell your friends, tell everyone you care about, create a support network for yourself and for those around you. Hopefully we can provide a safe place for the ones we love and the ones we meet through life. But the biggest thing is letting people know that you're there, and you've only really got to listen to them. That's the big thing. It just takes little to no training to
just asking somebody how are you and listening, I think, is a big thing.
One of the things that I was taught is that you don't tell people that you know how they feel, but you're willing to listen to them explain how they feel without judgment. So, I wouldn't say to Andrew, I know how he feels because he lost somebody, because I lost somebody to suicide, but we're two completely different people. So he will deal with things differently to how I deal with things. And you know what it's like if you're in a really bad situation or in a really bad, and someone goes, oh, I know how you feel. I lost somebody. You, a lot of the time, think, well, no, you don't know how I feel because you don't know what my relationship was with that person, or it was different to you. So we all have our own different interpretations of feelings and situations. So it's important that we don't tell people we know how they feel, but we are willing to listen to them, explain that.
Yeah. Ollie asked how you look after your own mental health.
Yeah, well, that's something.
Because you must hear so much, and like you said, it's quite a heavy thing to keep hearing and helping people with. So how do you look after yourself?
Well, I mean, that's a big thing. I was told a friend of a client about 18 months ago said a guy called Matt Goff, he's cut his hair for a long time, and he said to me, how are you looking after yourself, because you can't pour from an empty cup. He said you spend a lot of time worrying about other people and doing things for other people, but you got to look after yourself. And I think that was a big realization moment and something that stuck with me. I've got a very good support network. I've got a very close family. I've got a loving wife. I know that I can talk to them. But when it comes to the Lions Barber Collective, we also have a group, a chat group on Facebook, and the Lions that are in there, we said a while back, look, I want to make this a safe environment. I know that we all have to deal with stuff and people telling us stuff and offloading on us. So if there's anything that happens that's really heavy and you want to offload it, we can offload it in this group. But I need to let you know that this has to be a safe environment. If you don't want to be involved in that, that's fine. You can leave the group now. But from now on, we don't discuss anything that's discussed in this group outside of it. It's completely safe and non-judgmental, and a place for us to be able to offload and vent if we need to. And a couple of guys left, which is fair enough. And we've built up more people since, but it's kind of like a little online group for myself and some of the Lions ambassadors that want to offload. But I'm also aware of Samaritans and Mind and Calm and all the other things that I could suggest or signpost other people to are there for me as well. I think you've just got to have a level of being able to leave things in this four walls as well. When you leave, be able to sort of take that coat off or hat off or whatever, and put my family man home cap on rather than my psychiatrist counsellor cap. These kind of things. So it can be difficult, but I've made a lot of amazing friends. Well, they're already my friends, but even closer friends because of what's happened. I had a young lad I've cut his hair since he was about 4 or 5. He's 18 now. He attempted suicide. He told me he wanted to take his own life. He's been in and out of hospital, and I had a phone call from him the other day on my lunch break to say, just wanted to ring me up and say thanks. He's feeling great. He feels like he can help other people now. He's in a really good place. He's got a girlfriend. He just phoned me up just to tell me how thankful he was to me. And there's nothing more special really than that. So out of those things of being with him in the bad times and checking on him and calling him when he's in hospital, actually, the rewards of being able to, and friendship and being able to have that closeness with him is priceless, really.
That must have been incredible for you to hear from him.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and when we started out, I thought if we could save one life, then out of the whole thing, if we could save one life, then then all the hard work is worth it. And since then, there's been more. It's gone into double figures now, which is just phenomenal. Not just for those people, but for their friends and their family. And some of those friends and family would never know that these guys are suffering or have suffered, but they would have known if they'd lost their life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really amazing to see that we could affect so many other people rather than just that one person that sat in the chair.
Yeah, and everyone will have good hair as well. That's another bonus. We had a question from Joe. He wanted to know if you think it's a male trait that men don't really talk much about their feelings and.
I think traditionally it is. I think British stiff upper lip thing is something that is, that's still around, generational. The difference between my parents and myself, or my grandparents and myself, I think it is getting easier. And when I go to universities and I talk to students, like I went to Bristol University and spent the day there in a student union. They knew I was coming, they knew what I was about, but I had a group of guys coming. I think I cut about 15 lads' hair that day, and they all sat in the chair straight away. Hi, I'm Tom. What do you want done with your hair? Some of them didn't even get to the hair. They were already telling me about the suicide attempts, stress of uni, and it's just that case of me letting them know it's okay to talk to me straight away. They were fine with it, and I think that's a generational thing. I think it's getting better. There's a study by Dr. I think it's Brené Brown. I don't know if you've heard of her. She studied shame in women predominantly, and then she studied it in men. And when she was studying it in women, she found out that shame could be caused by lots of different things. And it's a very powerful emotion. But with men, it's seen to always come back to being seen to be weak. Weakness was the biggest thing that caused shame. And I think guys feel ashamed that and they think that mental health is a weakness. So they don't share it because they don't want to be seen to be weak. So I think that's a big issue. But I do think, honestly, I think it's changing with the generations. When I speak to younger guys at universities, they're normally very open straight away, which is amazing. I've got two little boys. One's 3 next month, and one's 5 months yesterday. And I just hope that by the time they're young men, it's completely normal to be able to talk about your mental health.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think it is getting better.
Yeah, it is definitely. The same physical health. Physical health. I read a study about marathon running, and back in the 70s, it was perceived to be very few people would actually ever get fit enough to run a marathon. Whereas now, there's hundreds and hundreds of marathons, and most of the people finish them. Everybody knows somebody who's run a marathon.
Yeah.
So we know that's we know if we look after our physical health, we train, we eat well, we'll be fit. But now it's time for us to look after our mental health and know that if we look after our physical health and eat well and train and also look after the mental health, then our mind's going to be fit as well.
Yeah, and it's something that everybody, has.
Yeah, of course, everyone has mental health.
Everyone goes through it.
It's a human condition rather than a mental health condition, because if you've ever been let down or you've been, disappointed or looked in the mirror and not like what's looking back, all those kind of things, that's your mental health working. You doubt yourself, or you're laying in bed thinking, oh God, I haven't paid that bill, or whatever these things that go round and round in your head, that's your mental health. So we all have it. It's not just bipolar, suicide, and depression. It's our daily life.
Yeah. So we had a question from Craig as well, perhaps a bit more cynical than the other ones.
Yeah.
He is wondering, how do you ensure that your conversation is private if you're in a busy barbershop, and a shrink would have a confidentiality oath as well? So do you think that puts people off confiding in their barbers?
Well, we the whole point is it's non-clinical.
Yeah.
It's non-judgmental. I have people. It's not a be-all and end-all. It's not you have to come and sit and talk to your barber. It's just providing. The idea is that we can provide as many opportunities as possible for men to be able to open up and offload. That doesn't have to just be me as a barber. That could be you as a friend or your father, or just try and encourage as many people to provide that opportunity for someone to open up and offload, because it could save a life. Okay, some people don't want to talk to their barber, that's fine. They don't have to. But we find that in that barbershop environment, someone's cutting hair here, someone's cutting hair over there, someone's cutting hair over there, someone's hair's cutting over. The hair dryers are going off. I mean, when you're sat in a barber chair, when you're having your haircut, you sat there listening. So most of the time, people are so worried about talking about themselves or their own, sort of doesn't talk about themselves, but talking about their own conversation. They're so engrossed in that, they're not listening to what's happening next door. And I'm not saying you have to, but it's just it's another opportunity to be able to open up and offload. We did a survey with Bluebeard's Revenge, and out of the men they asked, over half of them said they'd prefer to talk to their barber than they would their GP about their mental health. And the same with I think, more than half again said that they go and see the same barber every time, but every time they go to the doctors, it's a different doctor. So there's no rapport or there's no family doctor anymore. It doesn't exist. So it's about that relationship and bond and trust. And there is a confidentiality code in barbering as well. We're not meant to tell people what people tell us. I've had situations in the past, for example, three hairdressers or barbers in one salon. One cut one guy's hair, one cut another guy's hair, and one cut a woman's hair. And she was going out with one man and sleeping with the other man. And when it all came out, all three stylists didn't know that it was going. They didn't know who the men were and who the woman was. But it wasn't until it all came out and it was common knowledge in the community, or whatever. Oh my God, I was telling me about this man. I didn't know who the man was. That man, and so it goes to show that confidentiality does happen.
Yeah.
In the salons, they don't just go out the back and go, "Oh, did you know that?" It doesn't.
Yeah. Well, I guess you have like a client relationship with them anyway.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
Well, if you came into here and I cut your hair and you told me about your problems, and I could have known you for 10 years, but I'm your friend, but I'm not in your social circle. You know what I mean? So I've known you for a long time, but when you leave this door, I don't see you. Maybe I see you out and about and wave at you, but I'm not in your social circle. So if you told me something, I'm not going to go and tell your friend because I don't know who your friends are.
Yeah.
So there's that level of disconnection as well.
Yeah. You're sort of ideally placed for somebody who knows you, but you're not too involved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, well, it was great to speak to you. I think I've asked all the questions that we've had. And congratulations on everything that you're doing. You got an award from the Prime Minister.
That's right.
That's amazing. How was that?
Surreal. I had a phone call. I was at work, and I was cutting someone's hair, and the receptionist came over to me and said, "The government and Parliament number 10, whatever is on the phone for you." I was like, "What have I done?" And they just sort of said they were going to put me up for this award, and then I had a phone call about a month later saying that I'd won the award, and that a Points of Light award for volunteer work, outstanding volunteer work in community. So that was surprising and amazing, really, to get that recognition without having to put it out there. Normally with awards ceremony you have to apply, and it just kind of happened, which was really surprising.
That's great. Well, keep up the good work, which sounds really trite, but I do mean it. And hopefully it'll become the norm and we'll see all barbers signed up.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. And I think one thing, with Man v Fat, it is, I think, I just moved to Norway. I've been here for 2 months. I've just managed to get back into a gym again because I have to do registration and stuff like that. And the difference in myself from being able to exercise again and eating clean again is phenomenal for my mental health as well as my physical health.
It's all linked, isn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm putting on clothes and they're being too big.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely find that. I started running this week, and I've had such a brain fog for months and months. But now that I'm eating better and exercising, who knew? I feel so much better.
There's so many different things out there, though, isn't there? There's lots of different things you can do, and I think it's finding what suits you and suits your lifestyle, and making it enjoyable for yourself.
Yeah.
Keep trying stuff until you work it out.
Yeah, that's like a motto for life, really.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next month for another webinar.
Thank you.
Thanks.